Hi everyone, I'm sorry. I know I'm a few minutes late, but if we could all get started now, that would be great. Just click the join class button at the top and we can begin. Hello.
Hi.
Hi everyone. I apologize for being a few minutes late. My library was not cooperating at all. Hi everyone. I apologize for being a few minutes late. My library was not cooperating at all. Okay, so for full, can everybody hear me and see me properly?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's stop. The screen is stop.
Okay, all right. Is everybody having that issue, or is it just a couple of people? Okay, all right.
Hello. But actually, in this moment, no.
No, at the moment it's okay. All right.
Yes, it is.
I believe somebody doesn't have headphones on, and there's like a slight bit of an echo. So I don't know who that is. So just want to put on headphones so I don't hear my voice over and over because it's kind of distracting that way. I don't know who that is. Can everybody hear that?
Yeah.
No, it's not that person. So yeah, if everybody could just put on headphones or earphones, that would be great. Yeah, there's an echo, I know. Okay.
I'm sorry, Joseph. I'm not the person.
Okay, I know. I'm not muting anyone. That's why I'm asking whoever it is to just.
Joseph. I'm talking with Joseph. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so today's class, we will be talking a little bit about some of the famous authors of this past 20th century. There's a Google Doc that I provided. Does everybody have access to it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So if everybody can open that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. For everybody who's new to my class, my name is Hina. And let's just quickly go around and introduce ourselves. So,
Can't hear you.
okay, don't. Okay, don't mute the teacher. Okay, please don't mute me. Yeah, somebody just muted me, which is why you guys couldn't hear me for a bit. Okay, so let's go around introducing ourselves. So we have Aykut, A-Y-K-U-T. That how you say your name? I don't think she can hear me. Okay, let's go to Carla Costa. Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I feel like all the people whose names I'm saying can't hear me.
No, okay, I can hear you.
Yes, hi. Do you just want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Yes, my name is Carla and I'm from Brazil.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have Diego next.
Hello, I'm Diego. I'm from Colombia. I'm 16. Nice to meet you guys.
Oh, nice to meet you too, Diego. Welcome. Next we have Hamdi Omar.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, there is an echo on that sound.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to do about that. Somebody needs to lower the volume on their computer or wear headphones. But do you just want to tell us your name and where you're from? Okay, we'll move on. Marley?
Yes.
Hi, Marley.
Hello,
Yeah.
I am Marley. I'm from Brazil, and I am 19 years old.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next we have Mohammed. Okay. Some people seem to be coming in and out of the room, so we'll just move on. Norbert?
I'm Norbert from Hungary, Europe.
Okay, thank you. And next we have Sammy. Hi, Sammy. Can you hear me?
Can hear
No?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yes. I'm Sami, Palestine. I'm Sami from Palestine.
Okay, thank you, Sammy. And lastly, we have Yusuf.
Yes, hello. I'm Yusuf from Yemen.
Okay, welcome everyone. And just as we're getting all the technical difficulties sorted out, this is a reading class. So the Google Doc that I've linked to everyone, we all will be taking parts reading that. I hope everybody is comfortable with that. It's also going to be focusing on learning some new vocabulary, basically related to literature. So if there's a word that we come across that you don't know, you don't know the meaning for, please do stop me and I'll explain it. Okay. So as I was saying, in today's class, we will be focusing on 3 authors of the 20th century and their most popular books that they've written. If anybody has read any of these books, I would love to hear your opinion and your feedback on what you thought of those books. And at the end, we're going to read a poem by Robert Frost, and all of these are in the Google document. For the 3 books, we have the summary of the book, so what that book is about. And then we'll discuss what kind of book it is that would interest you. Would you read it? Would you not? What kind of books you are used to reading? Okay, so those are just the general things that we'll be talking about in today's class. All right?
I think there is a movie of the Lord of the Flies book.
There is a movie, Lord of the Flies.
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? Okay, so when we get
Yeah.
to that, then you can tell me your opinion on the movie.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So let's open the Google document. I posted a link to it in the chat box, and there should be a link to it in the description of the class as well. Okay? All right, so our first book that we're going to cover, Hemingway. Has anybody read this book?
No.
No, I haven't.
No. Okay, that's okay. I've broken up the paragraphs, so each person is going to read one paragraph. I've tried to make it as fair as I can, so everybody gets equal amount of airtime to read. So let's see. Norbert, would you like to read the first paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The Old Man and the Sea is the story of an epic struggle between an old, seasoned fisherman, Santiago, and the greatest catch of his life. From the very first paragraph, Santiago is characterized as someone struggling against defeat. He has gone 84 days without catching a fish. He will soon pass his own record of 87 days. Almost as a reminder of Santiago's struggle, the sail of his skiff resembles the flag of permanent defeat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And just the word that you read there, it's characterized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Characterized.
Characterized. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for reading that. And Yusuf, can I get you to read the second paragraph, please?
Yeah, sure. But the old man refused defeat at every turn. He resolved to
Every turn. Yeah.
Which one? Yeah, every turn he resolves to sail out beyond the other fishermen to where the biggest fish promise to be. He lands the marlin, tying his record of 87 days after a brutal 3-day fight, and he continues to ward off shark from stealing his prey, even though he knows the battle is useless.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So does everybody get what the story of the story is, what the story of this novel is? Does everybody understand what the author is story is being presented?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Are there any words that we read in here that were unclear that you want me to go over?
Struggle.
Which
Struggle.
one? Struggle. Okay.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So struggle means difficulty. So as a reminder of Santiago's struggle, so he had a really hard time. He was having difficulty. So struggle is a way to show that somebody is fighting to get over a difficult obstacle, a difficult thing.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else?
Timidly rebellious in the second paragraph.
In the second paragraph, to where the
The first sentence, it's as the novel progresses, the timidly. I don't know how can.
that's okay. Sorry, you said the second paragraph?
No, I will write into the chat.
Okay. By the way, there's a chat box in the Google document as well. So if you want to use that, that would be great too. Timidly rebellious. Okay. So it's said timid. Sorry. Yeah. Somebody was saying something.
I'm sorry. Didn't. Yes, me. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What does the greatest catch of his life mean?
Greatest catch is the biggest thing that he has ever caught. So he is a fisherman, as you can see, right? He says Santiago is a fisherman. So the biggest catch of his life. So when a fisherman
catch a big fish.
Yeah, so when a fisherman catches a fish, it's called a catch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this book is in the book. It's talking about the greatest catch of his life. So the biggest fish that he has ever caught. Okay. Norbert, you said timidly rebellious. Are you reading the second book? Because right now we're reading about The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I think you're at 1984.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll get to that expression when you move on to 1984. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So does anybody? Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So does anybody know anything about Ernest Hemingway, the author, who he was?
No, I'm sorry.
No? Okay, no, that's okay. He was actually a really popular author, and he wrote this book in Cuba in 1951. And if anybody goes to Cuba, in Havana, which is the capital of Cuba, there's a bar named after him. It's called the Hemingway. He won the Pulitzer Prize for this book, which is one of the highest prizes that you can win. It's like a Nobel Prize equivalent to that for literature. And this story was actually written after his own life because he struggled a lot in his life to make good pieces of literature. And this book was the last successful book that he wrote. And all the other books that he wrote after this, they weren't successful. And the books that he wrote before this one in 1951, it took him a long time to be successful. So when he writes the story about a fisherman and the greatest catch of his life, he's sort of using his life as a metaphor for the book. Does everybody know what a metaphor is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Norbert, do you want to explain that to everybody, what a metaphor is, just for someone who doesn't know?
I know it in Hungarian, but
Okay, well you can like use smaller words and just try if you wanna. If it's too much, then I can take over. Okay, I'm just gonna write it in the chat box. Okay,
I
that's
can't
okay.
in English.
That's
No.
okay. All right. So a metaphor. Does anybody else know what a metaphor is?
Yes, okay, but I will try to translate it from Spanish into English, okay?
Okay.
A metaphor is a literature figure, and it's like a way to talk about something but using different words, like more poetry, more beautifully.
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So, for example, in Ernest Hemingway's life, he was struggling to write a good book. So in his book, he wrote about a fisherman who was struggling to catch a fish. So that's a metaphor where you substitute one story for another to give it like more value and more imagery. Does everybody understand?
Yes, it's like an analogy.
Exactly. It's like an analogy. That's right. Okay, analogy. That's another word that analogy is like a metaphor is a specific kind of an analogy. Does anybody know of another analogy, of another literary term which is an analogy? Has anybody heard of similes? Yeah? Does anybody know what a simile is? Okay, you can explain it. Go ahead. I'm going to write it here. Simile. No? Okay. So a simile is something that you use to describe using the words like and as. So he is as brave as a lion. You know, nobody is actually like a lion, right? But when you use the word as, then you're saying that something is like something else, and that's a simile. Okay?
Okay, can you explain it in English as being something that you explain by association?
Yeah, by association or by comparison.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So he is as tall as a giraffe. Nobody's you are like a tomato. Nobody's really like a tomato, but you're trying to say that they are red like a tomato.
Ah, okay. It's like in Spanish we have different names to those things. So I was a little confused, but I looked for that in internet and actually I know in Spanish. Thank you.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay,
Yes,
that's
in
great.
Spanish we call it similicadencia.
Okay, all right, that's awesome. As long as you can associate and you know what it is, that's great. Does everybody
Yeah.
understand the difference between a metaphor
Yes.
and a simile? Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's great. These are just two of the very basic techniques that a lot of authors and poets use in their writing. Okay. So from the description of the book, does The Old Man and the Sea sound like a book that somebody would want to read? Like somebody, would any of you would like to read Old Man and the Sea?
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Sounds interesting, yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of books do you normally like to read? This is open for anyone and everyone.
Okay. I like to read history about the Middle Age.
Okay, Middle Ages.
But my favorite author is Dan Brown, the one who wrote the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. I love it because he talk about history, about it's a thriller. You read and it's like a movie, so
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
my favorite author.
Does everybody know the author and the book that Diego is talking about? It's Dan Brown and the Da Vinci Code. I'm just going to write it in the chat box. Dan Brown. So has everybody heard of it or read it?
I heard about it, but I didn't read.
Yeah.
You didn't read? Okay, it is the most read book in the whole world. After like the Bible, the most read book in the history of literature is the Da Vinci Code. That's how popular it is. And
Great, it's amazing. It's better than the movie because they give you details in the book, and the movie is very superficial.
and has anybody seen the movie?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, I agree with, I don't know who said that, but I think the book is better.
Oh, you read the book? Okay.
Yes.
Other books by Dan Brown?
Excuse me, did
Yeah.
you ask something? Ah, okay. Did you ask me something?
Oh no, this is just open for everyone. Has anybody read any of the other books by Dan Brown aside from the Da Vinci Code?
Angel and Demon.
Angels and Demons. Yes, thank you, Marley. What did you
Yes.
think of Angels and Demons?
Awesome. It's the best book I ever read from him.
Yeah, I agree.
Digital Fortress is very good too.
Sorry, Carla, can you say that again?
Digital
Fortress. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Digital Fortress.
Yeah, Digital Fortress, and then he has another one called Deception Point. I'm just gonna write it. deception point. Okay, so and he actually has another one, the secret symbol. It came out about
The lost symbol.
the lost symbol, right? Sorry about the lost symbol. Has anybody read that?
Yes, I did.
Did you like it?
Yes, one of the best.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Washington on that book.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I fell in love with Paris when I read Da Vinci Code. But my favorite book by Dan Brown is Angels and Demons. I think.
Me too. I agree with you. English Angels and Demons was the last that I read. And it's very good.
Yeah, and Marley, I think you would agree as well that it's the best book by him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Has anybody seen the movie Angels and Demons?
Yes.
Yeah?
Facts. It's the worst movie I have ever seen. I mean, they changed the characters, they cut the story a lot. I mean, it's awful. I hate it, the movie. I hate the movie.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, when a book is so good, it's very hard to live up to that expectation of writing a book as good. So of making a movie as good as the book. So I can understand. Okay. So let's get back to our Google document. The next book we will cover and the next author we're going to cover is George Orwell, and the book is 1984. He actually wrote this book in 1948 in England, and it was published in 1949. So let's see. Carla, would you like to read the first paragraph?
Yes, okay. In 1984, Orwell portrays the perfect totalitarian society, the most extreme realization imaginable of a modern-day government with absolute power. The title of the novel was meant to indicate to its readers in 1949 that the story represented a real possibility for the near future. In totalitarianism,
totalitarianism. Yeah, it's a hard word to pronounce.
Totalitarianism, yeah. Were not opposed. The title suggested some variation of the world described in the novel could become a reality in 35 years. Orwell portrays a state in which government monitors and controls every aspect of human life to the extent that even having a disloyal thought is against the law.
Thank you so much. And Diego, can I get you to read the second paragraph, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
As the novel progresses, the timidly how do you pronounce rebellious? Rebellious Winston Smith. Can you give me a moment, please?
Yeah, that's okay. If you can just, yeah. Okay. So for the first paragraph, does anybody have any question? There's a lot of big words in the first paragraph that are hard to pronounce and even harder to know the meaning of. So let's start with totalitarian society. Does anybody know what a totalitarian society is?
Portrays.
Sorry?
Portrays. I don't know how to
a totalitarian society is exactly the way the author describes it. It's a society where the government has absolute power. Absolute power means that they control everything and anything. So they control your life. Yeah, go ahead, Norbert.
Dictator. It's like a dictator.
It's like a, sorry?
Dictator, or I don't know how can I say it in English.
It's okay. If you want to type it, I can maybe understand what word you're using.
Dictatorship, maybe.
Battleship? Dictatorship.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, dictatorship. Yeah, it's like dictatorship, but like a very extreme form of it, where you don't have any sort of privacy. There's no privacy. You are a part of this. You're a part of a machine, basically. You're a worker in this factory, and you have no life of your own. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute you, Marley, for a minute, just because it's really noisy. Okay. So in this book, 1984, George Orwell talks about a totalitarian society that will exist in 1984, in the year 1984 and after. And The title of the novel was meant to indicate to its readers in 1949. So in 1949, George Orwell thought that by 1984, we would be living in a society where people had no free will and they had no opinion, and they were a part of a society where they had to follow what their government told them to do. The reason that he wrote this was because George Orwell grew up in England, and he was from a middle class family, and he went to a private school where he saw that a lot of like the richer the people were, the more in control they were of society. So he realized that if society was to continue this way, then everything would be controlled by one person or by one government. So when he grew up, he still harbored that fear, and he wrote this book to sort of warn people that if we don't take a stand now, then we won't have any individuality. Does everybody know what individuality means?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. So we won't be an individual person. We will be just a part of a machine. Okay? It's a very difficult book to kind of grasp at first, but it's very interesting. Diego, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I'm so sorry about what happened.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. If you want to start reading the second paragraph again, that'll be great.
It's okay. Sorry. As the novel progresses, the timidly rebellious Winston Smith sets out to challenge the limits of the party's power, only to discover that its ability to control the enslaved its subjects dwarfs even his most paranoid conception of its reach. As the leader comes to understand through Winston's eyes, the party uses a number of techniques to control its citizens, each of which is an important theme of its own in the novel.
Okay, thank you so much, Diego. Just this word here, it's techniques.
Techniques.
Yep, techniques. Okay. Yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. So what questions do we have about the second paragraph?
Did you explain what is the book about? It's because I didn't listen.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I just explained that the book is about the author warning the people in 1949 that in about 35 years, the whole world is going to be controlled by a big government or a big party. So like over here, it says the party's power, and people are not going to have any freedoms at all. They won't have any individuality, and they won't have any privacy. So it's a book about how we need to fight that and prevent that sort of dictatorship from happening.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Can you think of any examples that exist in today's world that could be like what George Orwell predicted? Of dictatorships or societies where there's no rights?
Can you repeat, because
I
you
didn't
talk like
hear.
a robot?
Oh, sorry. I said that can anybody think of an example of a society that exists today in our world that could be like the society that George Orwell is describing?
Oh, yes. North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea.
North Korea, Cuba, or Venezuela is becoming that. Actually, it's a capitalism system, but it seems like it's like that. All the people live only with one president, and that president is becoming like the king, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. And it's scary, isn't it, to think that you can live like that? Another country that I don't think is very extreme like that, but is sort of similar, is Thailand. They have a king and a queen. And when I was in Thailand, if you say anything about the king, and people hear you, they report you to the authorities. Like if you're riding in a taxi and you say something about the king and the taxi driver hears you, he goes to the police station and tells the cops, oh, so and so person, I dropped them off at this hotel. They said this about the king. So.
And China also.
Yeah, China
a country
also.
like this.
Yeah, exactly. So there are actually quite a few examples of countries that exist today that could be considered totalitarian or something that George Orwell predicted. Okay. Do we have any other questions from the summary that we read? Any other word that you'd like me to focus on? Oh, Norbert, you wanted me to describe timidly rebellious?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So timid means somebody who's shy, and rebellious means somebody who fights against. So you rebel when you oppose the power. So for example, if your parents tell you, you can go out of the house after 8 o'clock, and you rebel and you fight with them and you say, no, I'm going to go out after 8 o'clock, and I don't care what you have to say.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're rebelling. So timid means shy. So the protagonist of the book, everybody knows what a protagonist is, right? The main character. Okay, so protagonist. Protagonist of the book is the main character of the book. So in this book, the protagonist is Winston Smith, and he is timidly rebellious. So he rebels against the party, but he's very shy about it. He doesn't say it very openly or very loudly. Okay? Okay. All right. Does anybody have any other questions about about 1984 or what we just read? Is it clear? Would anybody read this book?
No.
No? Why not, Norbert?
I don't know, but I will.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said you won't read it.
I didn't read it before, but maybe I will read it in English to improve my reading.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I read it a few years. There's some noise coming. Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on to, so if there's no more questions about 1984, let's move on to the last book that we will be discussing and the last author, Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Okay. Let's see. Marley, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you please read the first paragraph of The Lord of the Flies?
Yeah.
Okay.
The central concern of Lord of the Flies is the conflict between two competing impulses that exist within all human beings: the instinct to live by rules, act peacefully, follow moral commands, and value the good of the group against the instinct of gratify one's immediate desires. Act violently. Violently to obtain supremacy over others and enforce one's will.
Yeah, so I'm just going to read the last part again. And value the good of the group against the instinct to gratify one's immediate desires, act violently to obtain supremacy over others, and enforce one's will. Thank you so much for reading that for us. Okay. Tom? Hi, Tom. Oh, Tom's gone. Okay. Who else? Carl, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, Carl.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Oh no, not Carla. Sorry, there's a gentleman here named Carl. So I'm going to yeah, that's okay. I'm going to ask him. Can you please read the second paragraph, Carl?
Okay.
Yeah.
This conflict might be expressed in a number of ways: civilization versus savagery, order versus chaos, reason versus impulse, law versus anarchy, or the border heading of good versus evil. Throughout the novel, Golding associates the instinct of civilization with good and the instinct of savagery with evil.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Annie, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want to read the last paragraph of Lord of the Flies?
The conflict between the two instincts is the defining force of the novel, explored through the dissolution of young English boys, civilized moral, disciplined behavior as they accustom themselves to wild, spiritual,
Brutal.
virtual, brutal, barbaric life in jungle. The jungle. Lord of the Flies is an
Flies. Lord of Flies.
flies is an
Allegorical
novel, which means that Golding and conveys many of his main ideas and themselves through
themes.
symbolic
Ideas and themes.
ideas and themes through symbolic characteristic and object. He presented the conflict between civilization and savagery in a conflict between a novel's two main characteristics.
Characters. It's characters.
Characters, yes.
Yeah.
Ralph is a
protagonist
who represented the order and the leadership, and Jack the antagonist who represented the savagery and desire for power.
All right, thank you so much for reading that for us. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is, again, there are lots of very difficult words here. So let's start. Does everybody understand what the book is about? Is the storyline unclear to anybody? Does anybody want me to explain what the story of the book is?
As I told you, I watched the movie, so I have like an idea.
Okay, do you want to explain it to us?
Okay, it's about scouts, guys.
It's, Boy Scouts.
Yeah, they went like to a trip, and they got lost, I think, in an island. So,
on an island, yeah.
On an island, okay. Yeah. And they start very with rules, like trying to convive peacefully, but then they began to divide themselves into two teams, like the good ones and the bad ones, and they try to kill each other, and it's very, very sad because they hurt each other and they are very mean.
Yeah.
And I think because of the desperation of being alone. I mean, they are kids. They are very, very young.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Diego. Diego is right. So the story of the book is that there's these young boys. They're about 12, 13, and they're on a trip, and their plane crashes on an island, and they have no adult supervision. So there are no adults around, and it's just a group of, like, I can't remember. I think it's like 15 to 20 boys. And at first, they're all like, we're going to have our own society. We're going to have our own civilization. But that breaks down, and then they break off into two groups. One is considered like the good group, where the protagonist is. So everybody understands the protagonist is the main character. The good character of the book is called the protagonist, and that's Ralph. So half the people go with Ralph in the good group, and the other half go with Jack. Jack is the antagonist. Antagonist is the negative character in the book. So the main negative character of the book.
Villain.
Yeah, like the villain, exactly. Like the villain is called the antagonist. So Ralph represents order and leadership, and Jack represents savagery and power. And and the book is just what happens in the society. So both of these societies, they crumble, they fall apart because there's no order, and everybody wants more power. William Golding, the author, he wrote this book from his own experiences because he served in World War II. He went away for war, and he saw the savagery that people were capable of inflicting on others. And because of that, he wrote the book about what human nature really is like. Are there any words or any questions about the book from what we read? Any words that are unclear to anybody? Please let me know, and I'll go over them.
Let me read
Sorry?
That I will see which words are unknown for me.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just go on, like the words that I think might be a little unusual, I'll just go to them. So civilization versus savagery, order versus chaos. Everybody knows what chaos is when everything is kind of crazy, there's no order.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Reason versus impulse. Can someone tell me what impulse is? Yeah, impulse.
I think that is something natural. It's something that you can't avoid.
Yeah, impulse is something that you do like all of a sudden. Like you don't think about it. You're like, oh, this is something that I have to do. You know, it's something that comes naturally. You're right. Okay. Impulsive decisions are not always the
I'm
smartest
sorry,
ones.
Hina.
Yeah.
I have to go.
Oh,
I'm so
that's
sorry.
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you, Diego,
everybody.
for joining.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay. All right. Okay, so if anybody is watching the video and would like to join, now would be a good time because we have a spot open. All right. Okay. So impulse. I was explaining what impulse was. So it's something that you don't think about. It's something that you do, you know, without thinking, all of a sudden. All right. Law versus anarchy. Does everybody know what anarchy is?
Yes.
Can you please explain that to us, Carla?
Oh, I know what it is, but I'm not sure if I can explain it in English.
Okay. Do you want to?
It's like chaos, but it's not exactly like this.
It's rebellion. It's rebelling against society.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. So anarchy is when, for example, a group of people decide they don't want to follow the king. Then they're going to commit anarchy. They're going to go against the power. Okay, so it's a form of rebellion.
Okay.
Okay. Any other words that that were confusing? Does everybody understand what this novel is about? It's about good versus evil, and the metaphor used here is of these boys. You know, their plane crashes on an island, and how they become into two different groups, and how both those groups deteriorate because of no laws and morals and lack of society. Okay?
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? If I'm going too fast, please let me know. I'll try to slow down, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's no questions about Lord of the Flies. So we are going to would anybody read this book? Would anybody like reading this book?
Yes, I would like to read.
You would like to read? It's not a very it's not a very big book. It's like maybe this big. It's not that big, and it's a very interesting read. It's a little dry in the beginning because there's a lot of character development. But once all that happens, it's really fascinating. And some of the things that these boys do on the island is like, oh my God, I can never imagine people doing that to one another, you know. So yeah, the book definitely has a lot of shock value to it. Okay, so those were the 3 books that I wanted to present, and the 3 authors who wrote those books. Did anybody notice that the authors wrote the books based on their own life experiences?
No.
No? Well, The Old Land and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway wrote it because, you know, he was having struggles writing a good book. So he put that struggle into his story. And then in 1984, George Orwell, he wrote the book about a society that has total control because he grew up in a rich society, but he was poor, and he saw how all the rich people had control of everything. And then Lord of the Flies, William Golding wrote that because he went away to war and he saw all the brutal things that people did to each other during war. And the reason that these books are so popular is because when you read them, you can feel a lot of human emotion, because there's a lot of real emotion that these authors put into their books. Okay, so if anybody decides to read any of them, which I hope you will, they all are very fascinating books to read. Okay, so So let's look at something a little lighthearted. Let's look at a little poem. Can everybody scroll down to the last page of the Google document, please?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to look at a poem called The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, and he was an American poet, and this poem was published in a book in 1916. Okay, so a poem is a little different from a novel. In a poem, you have, like in a novel, you have a paragraph, right? In a poem, a paragraph is called a stanza. Okay, I'm gonna write that here. Stanza. Can everybody say that?
Yeah.
Stanza, okay.
Stanza, yeah. So a paragraph in a poem is called a stanza, but in a book we call it a paragraph. All right. So how many stanzas does this poem have?
4.
Yeah, exactly. So this poem has 4 stanzas. All right. So who has not had the opportunity to read? I'd love to give somebody the opportunity to read who hasn't. Tom? I don't think Tom can hear me yet. Carl?
I'm here.
Yeah, I'll get you to read the first stanza of The Road Not Taken. Can you please do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler along I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth.
Okay, thank you. So just from the first, you cannot understand? That's okay. I'll help you understand. So from the first stanza, what do you think the poem is about? You don't have to be correct. I'll tell you what the poem is about, but just let's get some ideas flowing. What do you think he's talking about in this poem? Any ideas? Yusuf, we haven't heard from you in a while. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah? Do you want to maybe try to guess what the author is trying to talk about in this poem based off the first stanza?
I'm trying, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, let's continue reading. Norbert, can I get you to read the second stanza, please?
Yeah, sure. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same.
Thank you. Carla, can I get you to read the third one?
Yes. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back.
Thank you. And Marley, can I get you to read the last one, please?
Yeah. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence.
Ages and ages hence.
Thank you. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
All right, thank you, Marley. This is, it's sort of a difficult poem to understand if you don't know what he's talking about, but let's brainstorm. Somebody give me ideas. What do you think he's talking about?
I think he's talking about making choice.
Yes.
Yeah, he is talking about making choice. Yeah, exactly. And what kind of choices is he talking about?
He's waiting to be the last part, the small group of people.
Discuss with, to be with more group of people?
No, I mean to be a small group of people. So he can brave enough to be alone and to take his own choice and not follow other one's choice.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. That's correct. What else? What else is he talking about? That's the gist of it. So he is using a lot of metaphors. So the metaphor of 2 roads is the metaphor of 2 choices, how in life you always have more than one choice. So he's saying that he is standing in the woods and there are 2 roads he can take. So there's 2 choices that he can make. and he doesn't know which one to make. And then he compares the two. So he's used a lot of imagery. Does everybody know what imagery is?
What? Can you repeat, please?
Imagery. Imagery is when you use images to describe what it is that you want to explain. So over here, he's using the image of a forest to describe how difficult making a choice is. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't be worried if you don't understand everything that's going on. This is like a difficult poem, and we talk about it in high school in North America. So it's not that bad. So he's talking about how in the forest he has two choices to make, and he can only see a little bit further in each path where it's going to go, because after that it bends and it turns, and he doesn't know where the path is going to end. Okay? So that's the first stanza. That I stood in a wood and there were two paths and I didn't know which one to take because I tried to look down both of them. All right? Is that clear? Is the first stanza clear? That's what he's saying in the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the second stanza, and then took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. So he says that I am going to take a path that most people haven't taken. And how do you think he can tell that a path hasn't been taken by some people? How do you know that somebody hasn't walked a path?
Okay, because there was no, I don't know what's in English, like steps.
Yeah, exactly.
For the steps.
Exactly, footsteps. So he says that, yes. Yeah. So he said that there were two paths, and then one path, there weren't that many footsteps on it. So I decided, most people haven't taken that path, so I'll be different, and I will take that path. Okay? Because I wanted wear. So it was grassy and wanted wear. So the third sentence of the stanza, it was grassy, means it had a lot of grass, and wanted wear. Wanted wear means that it wanted to be walked on. That the path was saying, come walk on me, okay? That's what wanted wear means, all right?
Okay.
Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, okay? That's what he's saying, that I wanted to take the path that most people hadn't taken. And then in the third one, and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. And then he said that he walked a little bit on that path that he thought nobody had taken, and he realized that that path and the first path were equally the same, that the same number of people had walked on them. So there was no good way for him to know which was the path less taken. Does everybody understand that? Yeah. Is that clear? Yeah? He's saying that, at first it looked like this path was new, but it wasn't really new. A lot of people had taken that path over the other as well. And then he said, I kept the first for another day. So he's like, you know what? I'll take one path now, and then the other path I'll take some other time in my life. But then he's saying, then I won't know if I'll be back. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So he's like, okay, I've made my decision. I'm going to take this path, and I'll probably never come back to make this decision again. All right? So somebody said earlier on when we started reading this poem is about decisions, and it really is. It's about making a choice and then trying to see if that's the right choice to make, okay? The last paragraph is, I shall be telling to the side, saw their ages and ages hence, two rose flowers in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So now he is old, and he's saying, I'm going to be old one day, and I'm going to look back on my decision, and I'm going to say that my life changed because of the decision that I took at that point. Okay? I hope I didn't get all the metaphors and all the similes in the poem, but I hope that everybody has a good general understanding of what this poem is about. Yes? Are there any questions?
Yes.
Please ask me if there are any questions. Is there anything unclear? Is there anything that you want me to explain more in the poem? Go ahead, Carla.
No.
No? Okay. So this is Robert Frost's most popular poem. It's I'm not sure about in Europe, but in North America, in Canada, and in the United States, we read this poem in grade 9 and grade 10, and we try to make sense of it. Okay, did everybody like the poem? Do you think it was nice, or it wasn't, or it was gloomy? What was it? Give me some feedback.
May I ask you something?
Yes, please do.
There is a word I don't know.
Yeah.
What is meaning? Hook up with someone.
Okay. Which word is it?
Hook up with someone.
Can you tell me which stanza it's in? Like which paragraph is it in the poem?
Okay, I'm writing you.
Okay, please do. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this class was I wanted to make it a little bit more difficult than my regular classes. Hook up with someone. Where does it say that?
Maybe relationship.
Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't say. Okay, hook up with someone means to go out on a date, and you know everything that you do on a date.
Dating, flirting.
Yeah, exactly. So when you date and you flirt and you're successful and the person agrees to go out with you, that means that you have hooked up with them.
Ah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the committed relationship.
Not really. It's like more like a one night stand. Do you know what I mean? It's not a committed relationship. A hookup is just something that is, you meet someone, they meet you, you like each other, and you just go out, you date for a little bit. That's a hookup. A long-term relationship is something else. It's like when you're committed. There's no commitment in a hookup. And I think that's the end of the class. We're on the hour. I was going to say this class was a little bit more difficult than my other classes. I did mention that it's an intermediate class. So if you want to give me feedback on my Facebook page, I provided a link for that in the class description as well. Please do let me know what you liked about the class, what you didn't, and if you'd want me to talk more about literature and poems and authors. And yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. I hope it was an enjoyable experience and you will read some of the books by some of the authors that I presented, if not all of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It was great.
No, you're welcome. I hope everybody enjoyed and enjoyed getting some airtime to read some stuff. Okay, so everybody have a nice day. Yeah, and check out the Facebook page and give me some feedback so I know to make it easier or harder for next term.
Okay.
Okay. Hope to watch another class.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.